Hi, happy Saturday. Welcome to the Amber Shows. I missed you yesterday, didn't get a chance to come on and talk to you guys, so I do have quite a bit of information I wanted to talk to you about today. So let's get started. First thing, Serena Williams just won. She won the number 20 in Paris today. Serena, there's no stopping her. She's a Libra like me, of course. And she was down and came back. Serena is the comeback girl. My husband loves Serena Williams, and he's happy, and everybody else should be happy as well, because she represents us as a people, and she is the winner. Did you know she speaks fluent French? I didn't even know that until I heard her speaking. She speaks fluent French. Okay, so she won. Tiger Woods is not doing good at all. As a matter of fact, in the tournament that he's in, he's the last right now, and I don't know what happened to Tiger. Tiger needs to get himself together. I don't know where he's gotten lost, but I hope that he does come back. Okay, I want to tell you about washing raw chicken. Okay, most of us, at least I do, always wash my chicken before I'm going to cook it, no matter if it's a whole chicken, if it's cut up chicken, if it's I even wash my chicken that doesn't even have any skin on it, because most of my chicken, that's what I use. I use skinless chicken and boneless. But washing your chicken does not do anything, actually. All you're doing is spreading salmonella all around. When you're washing your chicken, first off, for those of you who are going to be like me and continue to wash your chicken regardless, once you wash the chicken, you can't touch anything else. So you need to have some soapy water with some disinfectant in the water to put your hands in, wash off, and then touch your seasoning, and then touch your dishcloth, or touch the pan or the aluminum foil if you're baking it. Everything you touch, once you touch the raw meat, you are spreading disease. And that salmonella poisoning is no joke. Cross-contamination is no joke, because once you get food poisoning, you are sick as a dog. It's almost like how my vertigo is. So make sure that when you're cooking your chicken, that it is you are prepared to have your hands always clean before you touch anything. Now, to really kill the bacteria on your chicken, because the point of what I'm trying to make is that it does not mean that if you don't wash your chicken, then it doesn't mean anything, because it's about the temperature when you're cooking it. The temperature of your chicken should be 168 degrees internally. Get a thermometer and make sure, and that way you are actually killing all the bacteria. So for those of you who don't wash your chicken, then you definitely want to make sure, but it doesn't matter, because it's how you cook the chicken is what actually kills the bacteria. Washing the chicken is not killing the bacteria, it just makes us feel better. The tallest 8th grade baller right here in Florida, 7 feet 3 inches tall, Clore Mariel is his name. You can see him on TakeMyTalent.com. He dominates every aspect of the game, yet rarely has use for a jump shot, of course. He plays for W Oaks High here in Florida. He will definitely be sought after a few years from now as an NBA hopeful, and he's 7'3", doing his thing. So if you want to actually see his picture, go to TakeMyTalent.com, and his name is C-H-O-L, that's the first name, last name Mariel, M-A-R-I-A-L. Brittney Griner, WNBA player, she married just recently Glory Johnson, and they now are getting an annulment already. They've only been married for 28 days. It was a big deal about their wedding. I think she actually proposed to her on television, and now she's Glory Johnson, the wife. Well, they're both wives, but who's the female in the relationship, Glory Johnson, she's pregnant by a sperm donor, and now they're getting an annulment. So I don't know what's going to happen with this baby. They were so excited about trying to have a baby, and they had a huge wedding, and I'm really sorry to hear about that. Maybe they'll get back together. You know, they're young, they're females, and maybe, you know, eventually they'll get back together. All right, grilled fish is a great meal to have anytime, but you have to take an effort to keep it from overcooking or from sticking. So a coating of a little bit of mayonnaise on the fish actually makes it easy to get it just right. If you don't like mayo, the flavor isn't noticeable after you grill it anyway. So you just brush some mayo on the front and the back of your fish and then put it on the grill. And it won't stick and it'll be very juicy and flavorful. Okay, did you hear about a cat library? You know, I love my animals. The cat library is a new thing in New Mexico where it's actually no books. The entire place is all kittens, and people actually go there just to relieve stress and to feel better and to hug and hold kittens from the Humane Society. So the Humane Society brings little teeny kittens to this place, and they call it the cat library, and all people do is they go there and they just hold kittens, feed kittens, love them, and mostly some will adopt them. So I like that. It's a great idea. Girl talk. Let's talk about masturbating. Okay, now I just saw an article about it, and it was very interesting because masturbation is not really talked about with females. So, but girls will go do it, and they'll be real quiet about it, but they, you know, nobody really discusses it. With men, it's like a big, you know, no big deal. They're always talking about they'll just do whatever they have to do, but women never talk about it. So, it is very popular. It's normal, and a lot of girls are doing it. It's safe sex, and also what they use are, like, you can use your hands, you can use toys. Some people go, a lot of females that I just researched, they like porn. So they go on the Pornhub, which is free, pornhub.com, and you can just see whatever you want to see, free. A lot of girls use shower heads, the shower head trick, because what happens is the female, men usually think that our orgasms come from our vagina, and you can have an orgasm through your vagina, but most is from the stimulation of the clitoris. So a lot of stimulation, females know what they want to do and how to do it, and it is usually shower head on the clitoris brings about great orgasm. Some people like toys. Some people just old-fashioned and just use their hands, or just use your imagination. Sometimes because you're anxious, that's why females masturbate, or it's been like a long time since you've had sex, or you're just bored, or just feel like doing it, just in the mood, just haven't had a date in a long time. You're your own date. But it's something that we very seldom talk about, and if you do have a partner, you can actually share with your partner and talk to your partner about it as to whether or not they would like to see you do it, or would they be upset if you're doing it when they're not home, because you might not want to get caught when they're coming in the door, or whatever. So it is a real thing that females do, because we are sexual beings, and we are not just a piece of meat. So a lot of people now, especially with all the diseases, this is where females are going, and they're staying celibate. So just wanted to tell you about that. 10 hilarious names people have named their boats: Fart Butt, Unsinkable 2, Titan Uranus, Hong Kong, Cirrhosis of the River, the Salty Swallow, the Cod Father, Ship for Brains, Yay Boy, B-U-O-Y, and Peer Pressure, P-I-E-R Pressure. So those are some names that some of the boats down here, that the yachts, people have the names on their boats. Did you hear about Minnie Mouse and Hello Kitty fight in Times Square? If you're in New York, my home, when you're there, if you go down to 42nd Street, you'll see all the different animals, cartoon characters rather, that are animals, and they're in costume, people, and they're always, you know, they're there to try and make some money, and it's just a lot of people down there, and they get a lot of people, you know, they have tourists, so the tourists want to take pictures with Minnie Mouse or Hello Kitty or Donald Duck or any of the characters. And so Minnie Mouse and Hello Kitty got into a fist fight over some tip money on 42nd Street. So that had to be really traumatic for the children and the tourists who are down there watching them, and it was a big to-do. one of the ladies who is Minnie Mouse, she lives in Queens, she said this is her way of making a living. And no one has to really have a permit with those costumes down there collecting tips. And they've been trying to get people to get permit, to have a law instated where you have to be registered or have a permit, because you could be some type of pervert inside those costumes or whatever, but there is no permits at this time. So this is just the way how this one of the ladies was saying that she makes money, and I think Hello Kitty was trying to rip her off some kind of way. So Minnie Mouse and Hello Kitty, I hope you guys have settled your differences and you're back on 42nd Street, and just stay separate from each other and make your own money. They said that people actually get territorial because they might want one corner here because there's more tourists on that side, but in New York the tourists are everywhere, so it's plenty of money for everybody. That's one thing about New York. You can't make it in New York, you can't make it nowhere. Okay, have you guys seen What Would You Do TV? It was really interesting last night with a little boy who was black and supposedly had a foster mother who had her own daughter, and they were in a restaurant, and she would be real loud and tell the little boy that he could not have the food that her biological child could have, and that he was only with her because she needs money. That's the only reason she's in his house. He's in her household. Well, people were listening, and so many people got involved, came over to that table, not knowing that, you know, it was like a candid camera type situation, and took up for the little black boy. Black people and white people, they all went over to the table and they told the lady off and told her how, you know, how could you say that to the child? Some people wanted to pay for the child's meal themselves. It's a good program. Check it out. And if you are out somewhere and someone's being mistreated, what would you do? Okay, this was a real big thing I was thinking about because, again, you know, I love my animals. What happens to war dogs? They are significant and important in our wars. They sniff out drugs, bombs. They find victims of war and victims of natural disasters. And they also lift the morale of the troops. But what happens to them after they serve? At one time, up until the year 2000, they were being euthanized. They end up having bad hip problems or arthritis, and they also have the trauma from being in the war, the post-traumatic stress disorder. They also get that. So it's really sad. But now what they're doing is many of the dogs are being adopted and are coming back to the States with one of the troopers that they might have worked with or been with. And that's a beautiful thing, because I'd never thought about that before, about rescue dogs. What happens to them when they're no longer available and able to take care of our war during wartime, or they're look for people or anything in disasters. I always wondered, and now I'm finding out that they are being thought about to help, that people want to help them and bring them back and take care of them. So that's a really great thing. We owe them a happy, loving home. Some are nervous, like I said, and have PTSD, but hopefully that many of them get home and they do get to live the rest of their lives out happily and peacefully. My brother sent me to a site today, Minister Louis Farrakhan, on YouTube, where he did an interview, The Breakfast Club, with Charlemagne. When you get a chance, you guys, go to YouTube, look up Minister Louis Farrakhan and The Breakfast Club, and you'll be able to see that interview. Really interesting interview. You know, Minister Farrakhan always tells the truth. He gave some information that I didn't even know about, and I keep up on everything. We have the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March is coming up on my birthday, October 10th this year. Please start learning about it, reading about it, and try and get people in your communities to get together to go to Washington for this event. I remember when it happened. I was in New York. I remember the highway patrol were trying to block many of our highways to keep all the men from going to Washington. They had free buses were going. We were taking food and coffee and tea to many of the buses for the men for encouragement. And I think all black men should gather, as many black youth as they can and march on Washington with the 20th anniversary